30 seconds. 20 seconds. 10 seconds.
'Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right, my friends, once again, it is indeed time to get our talk on. It's Morning Talk with me, along with Cleo, Duke-Wright. Morning, Miss Cleo. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing pretty good today.
Doing good?
Yeah.
You look good. You look happy.
Yeah, I am really happy today. I'm relaxed
Well,
today.
you look relaxed.
Yeah. Things have been going okay, and my husband has been ill,
Yes.
and finally, it's not. It has to be tested to see if it's what it is, but they put a name to what he has. One doctor put a name, just offhandedly said, "I'm not an expert, but this doesn't have anything to do with this. It looks like this." I've been going to doctors for years. Nobody's ever tell us anything. No diagnosis of, well, what is this? And this doctor just said it offhandedly and was not an expert at this. And she said, I'll put him through all the tests and give him another MRI for this, but I don't think it has anything to do with it. And then she tested his eyes, and she kept looking funny. Her face just kind of frowned up, and I'm looking at her, and then she says, this, and she gave a name to it, and I said, wow. She's the first one that ever really, and I've been saying for years, something's wrong with his eyes. His focus or something. She says it's not his focus. He can't move his eyes. I mean, he can't look up. He can't. If you say, how the doctor says, follow your finger?
Right.
He can't do that. And so she says, oh, have they said, and she gave a name to it, progressive something palsy.
Oh, my.
It's like, kind of like Parkinson's, only without the shakes. But he can't use his hands. I'm almost have to feed him now because he can't really use his hands that well. He can't move. He's getting stiff. And I went home after I cried for an hour. I went home and I read the symptoms to this. And I said, oh my God, he has every last symptom in this thing. Every last one. There was not one that he did not have. And I said, oh my God, years. And so I called other people. I said, read this. Is this really, I just wanted to make sure my head would read this. And it came back that this is exactly what he's going through. But what it's going through is very rare.
Mm-hmm.
It's very rare. So we thought, it was maybe because of the lifestyle that he had lived, that it's part of this was caused by this. Very rare.
Wow.
So I kept reading. Now the tests aren't in, and his PCP has not ordered any tests. She just kind of threw it out there, and she really wasn't talking to me. I mean, she was really saying it looks like this, and so I just happened to remember it to look it up, and I said, wow. And it's good to have answers, even though I don't have the real answers yet. It's good to have answers, or
A place at least to start.
to start. This is it. And if it's not it, it's something that's related to this, And so I got to see it, and I just kind of relaxed. I said, "There's a name. He really has something."
Mm-hmm.
And it's very rare, and it said that Robin Williams, the same thing he died of, that he committed suicide. It says and it gave some stars that have died of this, and I said, wow.
So what are the symptoms?
The symptoms are they get their eyes don't I have no technical name, so just bear with me. See, the eyes don't focus. It's not focused, but he gets stiff. Everything gets stiff. He has no neck, so I thought his stiffness of his neck was because he has no neck, and but that's part of the symptom.
Mm-hmm.
Stiffness of his neck, his body gets stiff, his swallowing, it's gonna get
It's diminishing.
it's diminishing, and they become not as social. And he's a very social person, but it starts to diminish.
Mm-hmm.
Sleeplessness. Sometimes I'm trying to remember just all of the things, but it gets stiffer and stiffer, and so he needs to exercise, and there are some things they can do to kind of slow it down, but nothing you could do to stop it. And there's no cure for this. So I don't know. I've been running around here, and I didn't think that he was getting the service he needed. So when I got this name, I just said, well, maybe I should call you and just say, because I don't know if he's gonna get good service here. And I just saw on television that Hartford had 100% got excellent on their patient care on TV last night.
Now, when you say Hartford, you're talking about Hartford the hospital, or
I'm
Hartford
talking about
the city?
Hartford the city.
It's a great place for people who need
Yes,
healthcare.
it had all, and I said, well, I don't think that they paid enough attention to him, and it's taken years for this thing to progressively get worse and worse and worse. But they did say that it is very difficult to diagnose because it masks other things too. It's very hard. But by this point, I would think somebody would know.
It's, I'm as you're, describing this and talking about, I'm thinking about when, people take their car into the mechanic because there's something wrong.
Yes.
And of course, you get there, and whatever's wrong isn't manifesting, and the mechanic can't find it. And, it's like, and unless you have a mechanic that's very, very experienced with your car and has seen lots of them, it's very difficult.
That's right.
To know exactly what it is, because the person that's doing the diagnosis isn't familiar with what's wrong. So if this is a rare disease, the first thing it comes to mind is that if you don't have the resources to do the research into what's wrong, stumbling upon it it's like going to the store and finding glasses for your vision.
I said, "Oh, that was wrong. I couldn't see."
Right.
The glasses, yeah, right. It's just crazy. It's and we have, I really think the best doctor is the GP, because
he sees everybody.
He sees everybody and he sees everything.
Yeah.
And he knows the rest of the clan, the doctors and things. And he can diagnose something quicker than a specialist. Usually, but we have PCPs. I don't know what a PCP is. It's your personal care
practitioner or physician.
But he's not a GP. He's not a... What's his name? He was from Windsor. Specialists used to go to him for diagnosis. Come and look at because he was a GP and he saw everything. He must have kept up on his reading or whatever, but he saw everything and everybody. And he could diagnose. I think what is his name? He was an Italian man from Windsor. He used to have a mustache, and he was my mother's doctor when she was in the county home in Windsor, and they used to call him the cookie duster.
The cookie duster.
So anybody, but he would when I just got to Harvard Hospital, and I was working up on maternity. He told the doctor this woman was pregnant. And he told him she's not pregnant. She has a mole. She grew just like she was pregnant, but they couldn't take the mold out until she was at term or something. At a certain point, they could take the mold out. And I was with him on an elevator one day, and I just knew him because my mother used to talk about him when I was a kid. And I looked at the coat, and I was only 18 years old. I looked over at this man, and he had the same name. And I said, that's got to be the cookie duster. And he did not dress.
Funny nickname.
He did not dress up. He was just, he just looked like a little old man. Maybe go to see his wife or something. He didn't look like any doctor. But he was a genius in what he did, and they took out. He was in there when they took out the mold, and when they opened it, it was all hairy. Oh, you don't want me to describe it, right? It was all hairy. Got a lot of white stuff, but it did have certain things of a human being. But it was a mold, and his name started with a P, and I forget it, but somebody out there might know who's of age, might remember him. And he was at Harvard Hospital. You would never, he might look like the little old man in the candy store, that owned the candy store, or just walking down the street with, he had a suit on, but it was kind of sloppy. Not like these doctors come in with the little hat and everything. So I want that doctor back. I want a Dr. Wilson back. I want a doctor who knows you. And could these people, I don't even know that they even know me or remember me from the last time they saw me. I don't feel comfortable with them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not part of the neighborhood or part of the community. They're just people that, and they're not most of them are not Americans. The lady who the doctor who diagnosed sort of diagnosed my husband yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
She was she wasn't American either. Americans that probably don't want to be doctors anymore. From her name, she sounds as though she was African.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but
well, I would imagine that the emerging or the new doctors, obviously they're new. They don't have the depth of experience. They're unfamiliar with all of the best practices. In practice, they may have them in theory, but they've not been in the field long enough to have best practices because they've done
they're
them.
all young.
And with all these specialists that you have, I mean, the foot doctor or whatever the care doctor.
Yeah, I always have to go to
the specialist is good at that, but the general practitioner is like a dinosaur these days. Unless you're in some rural part of the country, where there is a singular doctor that serves most of the people in the town, or there's only a handful of doctors. Healthcare today has become driven strictly by profit.
But
it's strictly by profit, and it doesn't seem as though patient care is primary. It's almost like it's a byproduct of the business, but it isn't the business.
That's why, when this doctor was talking, she almost whispered her thought and said, I'm not an expert. I can't tell you anything. I'll just put it in the notes, and maybe they'll maybe they'll take it up. Maybe they'll, hopefully they'll do something about it. But she didn't want to talk to me about it. She shied away from saying to me just a little tiny bit that, how a person wants to tell you something, but they don't tell you, but they kind of say.
I think I know what it might be, but I don't want to be liable for giving you the wrong information, but at the same time.
Right. Absolutely. This is how this, and I said to her, you don't feel, because this is her field of expertise. I said, you don't feel that this has anything to do with what we came here for. She says, nothing, because he has nothing that says that to me. That but I'll do this and I'll do this, and he can have another MRI and on this and I sat around in another damn circle doing the same thing that we've done 3 times before to get the same result. Because if this is the expert and she's saying it doesn't matter anything that has to do with what we came here for, then why would I do this? So this would mean going through another blood test, going through another MRI on something that we've had 2 MRIs for on the same thing. So I got the feeling, she wasn't not saying that, but I got the feeling she's saying no, and she gave me something else and said, if you can do this, do this. You know what Jesus used to say? If you have eyes, if you see, if you have...
To those who have ears to hear, let them hear. Those who have eyes to see, let them see.
Yes, that's how I felt.
She's speaking to you in parable.
Yes, that's how how I felt when I was in the room with her.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes. I thought of that. I said, okay.
Well, she did give you enough information that you could go off and search this.
Yes.
Which was, semi-fortunate that it seemingly has come to that, because you need to have, she
need to protect herself.
Right.
That's how I felt. I felt she's protecting herself
from litigation
and
liability.
Instead of just telling me just how she feels like a GP would do, she had to protect herself. So I that's how I felt. And she can't be open with me because it may hurt her. So I said, wow, this is, like doctors say, I can't do this. You have to go to such and such a person. I can't do this. You have to go to this. The
system is breaking down. It's broken. Everyone's afraid of some sort of exposure whereby they could be sued or held accountable for something that they're trying. You try and help someone, you wind up being sued because you helped them the wrong way.
Yes.
Meanwhile, if you'd have let them go on about their regular business, they would die. But because you intervened to try to help, now
it's
now it's partially your fault.
Yes.
But,
to say to me, I hope they look into this. Mm-hmm. Not that they will. They may ignore.
Now, can you ask for them to look into it now that she's mentioned it?
I'm going to insist.
Insist. There you go. Okay.
I'm going to insist, that they look into it. Hopefully not putting anything on her, but and I'm going to go other places because this has been going on since before he fell down the stairs, way before that, when his eyes started to change and I didn't understand, way before that. So this disease, you live a certain amount of years and that's it. And we've been going through this for years. So.
And it's not for the lack of trying to find out what's wrong. It's everywhere you go, no one knows.
No one knows.
And they just give the standard MRI test, I guess, and figure out.
This MRI, that MRI, and they'll tell me something. And I say, with his lungs, and you could die of pneumonia with this. Mm-hmm. And because you may breathe in or food or something, they said, and you're not swallowing correctly, you could choke. I don't know how, but a lot of people die of pneumonia, and I'm saying, I've been telling him that he can't. I told him that he was choking, and that I now had to cut up his food, very small, and not give him hard things to eat, and
now is he cognizant? Can he?
And it's not affecting.
He's able to think and understand and all those things.
Yeah, it has affected him. He has gone down.
Oh, it's gone down.
Has but not like memory or anything like that. It's not it can get difficult, but not like he's losing his doesn't know who you are, doesn't recognize things. Not like that.
I thought about you last night. In fact, I called you to, I don't know if you got my message.
Of course I didn't. I'm sorry. I probably went to bed or was doing something else.
Yeah, I think it was around about 8:30, 9 o'clock, somewhere around there. But I was actually looking for, that's the time to take the break. we'll take a short break. We'll be back, and I'll finish where I was. Yeah. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. It's Morning Talk. We'll be right back.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and you're watching AccessTV.org.
The incomparable Jay Hooker. Welcome back to Morning Talk. I'm your host, J.C. McCauley. And it is indeed Morning Talk here with Cleo. Now, before the break, before we rudely interrupted by the break. Now, I was saying I had called you because I was searching for like my system here. I wanted legs on it. You know, so I can, but I wanted the legs to come down. You know, like like the ambulance thing that they move the people on.
The stretcher?
Yeah, the stretcher, and then they reeling it off the street and they push it right in, and the legs fold up.
Right.
I was looking for something like that, and I found all kinds of legs, piano support legs, X legs, all kinds of stuff, but nothing that fit what my mind's eye could see. And of course, I stumbled upon a device that was used to lift one of those electric chair things, you know, a mobility chair.
Uh-huh.
And it was on sale for $1,000. I said that's a little over the top for a $49 legs.
What were you gonna do? All right, you were gonna put your equipment on there and just roll it into the.
Well, what I wanted to do is attach it to the bottom of this box, but it was just so that it would become an integral part of the system. That's a long story to get to a. Trying to center myself on the screen. There we go. To make a long story short. Once I got to where the mobility thing, it hit me that I'm 63 with gray hair. Though I swear my hair's not
a
gray.
little gray hair.
Well, it looks a lot gray when I look at pictures of it. Like I'm looking at it on the screen, it looks gray. It doesn't look gray to me, but maybe that's because my residual self-image doesn't see me with gray hair. And but nonetheless, long story short, And so, I said, well, let me call Cleo, see how she's doing now. Her husband's doing. I called my dad, see how he's doing. And he's doing just fine. But it occurred to me that there's a whole different perspective of things as you get older. And what older people go through, and people giving care to older folks. And mobility is a huge issue in getting around, and the climbing the flight of stairs, and and as you were talking about earlier, falling, because I'm sure everybody remembers Brad Davis. There's the story of Brad Davis and how I don't know if you remember when he fell down the steps.
No.
He fell down the steps. He couldn't move. He's telling the story, and he knew that the lawn guy was coming and would want to get paid. So that was his saving grace, because the guy came, he knocked on the window. He could see that Brad had fallen and get him some help, but it was a couple hours before that happened. But these are very, very real things. You had the little thing where you push, help me, I've fallen, I can't get up. And people would, when you're young, you joke about that. It's not funny as you get older, because if you fall, you really do need help. And that's so, right. Willie's fortunate that he's got you. But a lot of people, live by themselves. They don't have anybody. And if someone's not checking in on them, doing a health and safety check, or just check in, once in a while, and
see if you're
how
okay.
people are doing.
I want my son who's staying with me. He's been staying for a while. I said, look, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to get out there. You got to start again. You got to put the. But if it had not been for him, my husband would not be in my house, because I would not be able to do, or keep him, or get him off the floor, or even go outside to to go to see a friend. I wouldn't be able to, and I'd have to take him with me everywhere, put him in the car, and it's getting more and more difficult to do that. More and more, because as he has less and less control over his movement, that means me and my back, and so I have things, have bought things on Amazon to pull him up in the bed, and to get him on his feet, and things like that. But if my son was not there, I would have to
he's got to be heavy.
Put it. He'd have to go to a home, because I can't.
Right.
I could not. I tried by myself, and I did for a long time. Get him, to a point where he could push himself and help himself, but that's getting less and less. So maybe it was a blessing in some disguise that my son, who I want to go out and get his own apartment, is still with me, in that
how old is he?
Huh?
How old is
50.
he?
And he I mean, now of course he does more and more.
Right.
He feeds him and gets him up, and he does a lot more for us than he did before. But
Willie's gotten his decline, his mobility, his health, everything's starting to decline. So there's more for him to do. So he's a godsend. In
yes, and he says, of course he makes fun of that. He says, yeah, but what would you do if I wasn't here? And I said to myself, what would I do if he wasn't here? Well, I would probably have to quit my job and just stay home all the time, or I'd have to put my husband in an institution where they could care for him, which may happen anyway. you know, as time goes on and we can do less and less for him, he's probably going to be better off in some other place. But right now.
Well, that must be a hard, a hard decision to contemplate, and then I would imagine even harder a thing to execute, because, I don't know if people really fully embrace what's involved in having to make the decision, because you can't physically lift him off the floor if he falls.
No.
Or as you're talking, I'm thinking like choking hazard, but like if food gets in your windpipe,
is so,
and even if the food is small, so there's so many things you have to do and worry about that
right.
At some point you cannot provide.
The PA was with us when the first time he really choked. I mean, I've heard him cough up and but I didn't understand that was really, because a lot of us do that every once in a while, know. So I didn't realize that he was doing it more. And when we were at church and we had a church picnic, in the back of the church, and he was eating some chicken or something, and he swallowed a bigger piece, and he was choking, and a woman came over and started to scream for the PA, come, and I went over there. She wouldn't even let me touch him until he and he had a hard time getting that food up, and then it came up, and I said, oh my God, because the first thing that I thought of, what if I was by myself? Mm-hmm. That's the first thing what would I have done? Because I know how to do it, but
you physically can't. You can't.
I might not have been
able to execute, but you can't execute the wisdom and knowledge you have in the practice of doing it if you can't do it. Knowing how to do it is almost of no value.
Right. And so after that, I chopped up his food, and then he did it again, and then he did it again. So I make sure the food is soft, not hard. Mm-hmm. And I'm very careful. He can't hold a sandwich. It's like a baby holding a sandwich. Mm-hmm. And how babies just But I said,
you can pick a baby up.
You don't want to cut that out. Don't put so much food in your mouth. What are you doing? Mm-hmm. And not wanting to know that this is the way it's going, that he can't help this. So people have to be very diligent. I've not been, I think, as diligent as I could, because I'm thinking, come on now, because, when he was well, I could say these things like, you're getting, you say all kinds of things, nothing's wrong with you. You keep on doing that kind of thing, and you're not wanting to see that something's not right, And all right, so you're a little sick, and you just keep on going, and then you realize that this is real, and that's hard. That is really hard. And I didn't think anything would be hard, because I'm Superwoman. you don't think anything about it. You gonna do this.
Right.
It's not gonna be that hard, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult to do, and it's very difficult to watch. To watch it happen. So, and you got to be careful about the people who you're taking advice from, even if it's a doctor. A doctor who spends no time with you and says, oh, Willie, behave, treat your wife right, she's a good woman, and go out the door and not really give me any information or how to deal with this. and not looking for what's wrong. Now, all these years, no diagnosis. None. Neurology told me there's nothing more we can do for him.
Time to find a new neurologist.
I went to 1, 2, 3, how many times? But I'm not knowing. All right, so it's something.
Right.
It's something else. I said, it's not that. It's something. And it turns out to be neurology. This is something that he's going to have to go right back to neurology.
Right, but they're just not familiar with what it is that's wrong. So I guess,
And like I have to say, they did say it's a very difficult thing to diagnose. Very difficult disease to diagnose. They did say that. And I guess it is because after these many years, they didn't diagnose it.
Wow.
In one little. Now, the tests have not been run to say that that's what it is. And I'm not a medical person, but I could read.
Mm-hmm.
I could read and I could see. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
And comprehend.
Yes, and comprehend. That's right. You could tell me I'm not a medical person. Who are you? Doctors love to do that, don't they? What medical school did you go to? Oh my God, they do that, don't they? like they're so much more intelligent than anyone else. How did you learn what you learned? You read it, you looked at it, you might have studied it. Well, I might not go to school, but I could do the same thing. I could read it and look at it and see too. So
my mother was a physician, and of course, she could. It was impossible to even think, suggest, or conceive that she was wrong.
Because she was a doctor.
She's a doctor.
A doctor.
She would get in an argument with my dad. Yeah, I went to medical school. She's going to go all the way down the line.
Like nobody else could.
Yeah.
How intelligent does a doctor have to be? Well, he has to have a good memory, for one thing. And he has, a C student, a B student, could be a doctor, for Pete's sake. All those doctors didn't graduate at the top of their class.
That's very true.
Some of them doctors graduated at the bottom of their class, but they still have MD.
Right.
They still became doctors. Come on.
Same thing with lawyers.
Same thing with lawyers. Same thing with
everybody.
Any profession.
Right.
I'm ordained.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what seminary? Well, let me tell you.
I went to the seminary in New Haven. Which one did you go to?
Can I give the sacraments? Well, so it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I'm just as smart as anybody else. I could, and you're just as smart as anybody else. Pick up a book, read it, And some people, my uncle didn't even finish school. He put electronics together, just bam, 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 put things together, invented things. He didn't finish school.
Well,
come on.
Still the world's the best place to learn and the best teacher has always been and will always be experience. Now, you can go and read and study, and all those things are a great way to shortcut experience, but nothing beats experience. And so you get all the theory, but, until you can apply the theory and see whether or not it actually works, it's just theory because you haven't done it. And so, you try the practical application of what you know in the real world. Because I remember when you take your test to become an aircraft mechanic, and other fields of endeavor. You have your written exam, the oral exam, and then the practical exam. And there's a whole lot of people got the head knowledge, but they can't do it. They can't put it into practice. And there's other people who know how to do it, but then they can't tell you or articulate and if they had to write it down, we forget about it. So, you really have to master all three. And you can, no matter actually, for the most part, who you are, if you are given the time. We're in such a rush to get everything done.
Everything. And they state how intelligent you are. By the time you can't do it in 15 minutes, his intelligence is, you can't do it in 10 minutes. You can't do it in a half an hour, but you can do it in an hour.
You can do it.
You can do it. The thing is, you can do it.
Right.
But they make you believe, or how can I say? Especially for young people, for children, you don't have the ability to do such and such. You don't have the ability to do this, that, and the other thing. And they have never given you the time. Maybe you need more time to do that. Maybe and you could do it. And probably be a better technician than the people who got A's on their tests. So.
Well, we'll keep you in prayer. I mentioned to the Alliance, pray for Cleo, our chaplain, and as she is dealing with, having to take care of her husband. So,
thank you.
Keep you in our prayers, Cleo, and just, let us know if there's anything we can do.
No, but there's a bright side.
Yeah.
If you know some of the answers and you know what you actually have to deal with, then you could deal with it a lot better than not knowing it, seeing things and not knowing what to do. So that's my up this week, is that now I know, so that the patience is a little more, I can be a little more patient, and things could happen a little better than they were.
Nothing like a little wisdom and a little knowledge.
Yeah.
It goes a very, very long way.
Yep.
Long way. All right, my friends, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back. Jonathan Small will be joining us. And we'll talk and get caught up with Miss Cleo next week. Stick and stay. Don't go anywhere. It's Morning Talk. A little Jay Hogarth in the background.
Hi,
My name's J.C. McCauley.
I'm Nyesha McCauley, and
Well,
you're watching AccessTV.org.
All right. Holy Spirit Consciousness off of the Raise Your Spirit Consciousness album, J. Hogarth and Company. This was recorded live at Van Gelder's studio in I want to say Inglewood. I think that's right. New Jersey.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 2 Inglewoods.
Is California. Yeah, this is I'm jacking it up location, but I think that's for some reason that's in my mind. I didn't mess up the studio. It's a legendary studio with the greatest musicians in jazz recorded in there. You at one time they wouldn't let you bring a camera in the studio because the acoustics and the way the studio is set up. And I spent some time in the studio with the one and only Ronnie Song.
Never met him.
Last week he was up here.
Oh boy.
Yeah. That's all I'm at liberty to say.
To say, yeah, always a little mystery with Ronnie Song.
Yeah. So
Yeah, never met the person. That's all I can say. I mean, I've seen him on your program, and I've seen him online. We've never crossed paths here, Ronnie.
well, later on we're gonna cross paths with a musical legend, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. I like being around, musical geniuses and people who do great things with, musicians and such. They set the soundtrack for your life. I know you watched the Grammy special. 50 years.
I think I didn't
On
watch the
CBS?
entirety. No, I actually did not watch it. I got a glimpse of it and previews of it online segments after it, but not actually watched them.
Did you see Big Daddy Kane?
I missed them.
Oh
yeah.
I didn't watch it,
You didn't.
but because the game was on another channel. But I would check in from time to time. I did see Big Daddy Kane. I didn't watch the whole thing, but the first person that popped in my mind as soon as I saw Big Daddy Kane was here.
Where's you? Because I'm a hip hop
Yeah.
fan. Try to be, and Big Daddy Kane go way back to the '80s too.
Right, because I remember you talking about him when Professor Akbar was here.
Yes.
Yes.
We talked about him. Yeah, Big Daddy Kane was very popular in the late '80s. Pretty much, he had a unique, what they call it, a freestyle. He can rap real fast. I don't know if they call it freestyle, but something about his rap. He's a very fast-paced rapper. So he was really extremely popular in the late '80s. But they've been celebrating 50 years of hip hop. But this was the Grammys that you're talking about. So this was not.
Well, the Grammys was doing a 50-year. It wasn't like the Grammy Awards, but it was the Grammy, the Grammy Association, or the institution which is the Grammys.
Yeah, I gotta check that online then a little after, because they've been celebrating that all this past year, 50 years. We did a couple shows on hip hop, and they've been celebrating the 50-year anniversary of hip hop. So it's a big event, I guess. Anytime you get people like Big Daddy Kane and other celebrity artists.
Queen Latifah, everybody was there.
Yeah, well, Queen Latifah is very instrumental in hip hop, particularly from a female perspective. But even she's a movie star now. She has her own television show, TV show.
You ever hear any of her jazz stuff?
In the past, not recently, but she's a good vocalist too.
She's all around talent.
Yes, she is. Actress.
I don't think she's the best actress, but you know.
But she can hold her own
Yes,
at least for
yes.
her TV
Clearly.
series.
Yeah, and it gets better. Star Trek wasn't good when it first came out either.
You mean original Star Trek?
Yeah, the first episodes of Star Trek, the first season, whether it's original, Next Generation, all of the first seasons of Star Trek weren't good, except for Discovery, which was just bad every season.
I could never get into Star Trek, even the new ones.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Now that he has confessed that he's not a Trekkie, we'll end the program right here.
Good to be here, Stan.
So how you doing, Jonathan?
Hey, I'm doing fine, you know. Had to the black leather coat that I purchased, it was too big for me.
Mm-hmm.
So last week, you know, it was my birthday, I wore it out, but it was just too big. It was a 2X, so I gotta, I guess, exchange it to get the 1X. So you gotta.
So it sounds like you treated yourself to a black leather coat for your birthday.
Something like that. Because I haven't had a leather coat in a long time. A long time.
Well, you know, leather coats get cold in winter. There's no insulation.
Well, this one actually does. That's what made it unique. It's very warm inside.
Does it have fur in there?
I don't know if it's fur, but it has some type of
Okay.
installation.
Uh-huh.
So it's very warm, and it has the hood that I like. Has the strap.
A leather hoodie?
A leather hoodie. A real leather hoodie. So,
wow.
You know, the only thing is, I'm not a person, I don't like to wear coats inside. I like, you know, I wore a big coat like this. Somebody was saying I need a little smaller leather coat now, just for looks, you know, that you wear inside.
Okay.
I don't like to wear coats inside.
It just
big coats.
feels wrong.
Feels wrong to me.
Yeah.
You know, I like to take my coat off inside, but outside now, it's the perfect coat. So you might want to think about a leather coat, Stan. You know,
I have a leather coat.
You do have a leather coat?
I have a black leather coat. It's in a closet. I haven't worn it in, I can't even remember.
You don't like to wear it?
It's not that I don't like to wear it. It never even occurs to me to wear it. I'll get it out. Maybe I'll wear it today. Since I have on the black, you know.
I got a family friend. He bought a long trench leather coat.
Mm-hmm.
Paid $500. This was like about 20 plus years ago. Never worn it not one time. I don't know. I can't figure that out. But it's like a dress fancy coat.
Mm-hmm.
And he just never worn it. He just bought the coat. And $500 about 20 to 25 years ago is probably getting close to $1,000.
He's probably into the Matrix, you know, like this, like right behind you, you know, with
yeah, I see.
with Keanu.
But
everybody was walking around with leather coats.
Yeah.
Cute, you know, trying to be you know, like they were living in the Matrix, you know.
Right. But why is black so the popular leather coat, though? You see so many black leather coats. You don't see too many brown or other colors.
Well, you know, the bomber jackets.
Right.
Those were brown, mostly.
Yeah.
But black leather coat is, you know, it's the fashion.
It's the fashion.
The fashion, you know, you up there with the heavy hitters. You got a black leather coat.
I had an old brown leather coat. Let me tell you all of the leather coats I had. First got out of school, a couple years after school, I got a triple fat, either a triple fat or a double fat. Triple fat goose, they call it, a double fat goose. It was either the triple or the dip or the double. It had the hood and it was a brownish color.
Okay.
Very warm. You know what I did though? I got it washed.
Leave it somewhere. What?
And it changed the color of it. I had this perfect.
Where'd you do? You take it to the cleaners?
I think I did. But you're supposed to take it to a special.
Yeah, someone did does.
Yeah, and I'm inexperienced, new, early 20s. You not thinking. Take the coat, and the color got changed, and that nice brownish color. I forgot what color it got changed to, but it was never the same color. And then I just outgrown the coat. You know, you put on weight over the years, so I outgrown it anyway. But that was an excellent coat.
You throw it in the trash.
I think I might have gave it away.
So
I can't.
upset.
Yeah,
Right.
I think
not
I might
the
have.
same now.
Not the same.
Yeah, Jonathan is very particular.
Very particular.
Very particular.
Then I had a Minnesota Vikings nice leather coat. The smaller ones, not the big heavy ones. They got different sizes, I guess. This was like a light, more like a light jacket, but probably a little bit thicker than a jacket, but not a big one to be outside in a freezing cold. Something that you can wear actually inside, like a spring fall type of leather coat. And the Minnesota Vikings, that's not my football team, but it looked nice. It had the
Was it with purple with a Viking on it?
it was black and purple.
Black and purple.
And had the Minnesota Vikings logo, and that was a real nice one. And then somebody gave me a few years ago a brownish coat. It was okay. It wasn't the top of the line. And those are really the only three. I had a fake leather Shaquille O'Neal coat. This is probably pleather.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Pleather, yeah.
But that looked nice, though. You could fool people, making them think it was real leather.
When it's new, after a while, it starts wearing out.
You know the routine.
Right. So you know the pleather.
Of leather. And that's about it. I don't think I've ever had more leather coats than those. Technically, I only had 2. And I had a pleather one.
I had 3. Do I still have the one? I'm not sure if I gave. I might have. No. I have the black leather coat. I have a brown bomber.
You got a brown bomber, okay.
Leather coat. But the zipper is broken, so I need to take it and have the zipper replaced. And then I had and I still have that. It should be somewhere around here. You know, wives like to throw out your clothes. They figure you don't wear them. They're out of style.
Right.
Throw it out. Give it away. Right. But I'm pretty sure that's still around. It was like remember when Michael Jackson had the vest? You know, it was red.
The reddish one.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Well, I had something that was like that. It was brown, and I still have that. So it was leather. My mom gave it to me as a gift. She was a huge Michael Jackson fan.
Okay.
And so many years ago.
And you still have it?
I have everything.
Oh, okay, that's good.
Which you should be able to tell by my office.
I would like to see these leather coats, Stan, at some point. You know, the new one that you got and this mic. I would like to see.
Well, you know, there's a shoot tomorrow at the Lyric, which is the library, the Harvard Public Library on Park Street. Park and Broad.
Park and Broad.
So I might wear the black leather coat.
The newest one, right?
Well, it's the newest one, but it's not new. It's got to be at least 20 years old, if not older.
Does it have a hood?
No.
Oh, so you don't have the hood.
No.
But you don't care about things like that, you know,
Hood?
the hood. Yeah, you don't care about hood.
No. I have one thing that has a hood. Well, that's not true. That jacket right, that has a hood. But that's like your winter out shoveling snow jacket.
Right.
And then I have a sweatshirt, a brown hoodie.
Yeah.
You know, when I want to, you know, go to the store with my mask on and wear the brown hoodie.
I think I've seen your ski mask or something before. I think I've seen you wearing like a mask.
Oh, I have a like one of those Russian hats.
The Russian hat, that's the one I see.
Yeah. That has the mask on. Once upon a time, you couldn't go into the bank with a mask. Now you can go into the bank with a mask. You know, everything. Yeah. Now, if you go into the bank with a Kevlar bulletproof face shield, you might get stopped. But any other kind of mask you could use as a health issue.
You know, I hate to break up this fun conversation that we're having, but it's just something I'm itching on my mind.
So what's on your mind, Jonathan?
Well, this whole Fuller Brush factory retransformation, I just wanted to get your opinion. Do you think it's what's needed? Do you think it's a good bonus for the community to have the new market rate?
For the emerging community or the one that's there now?
I would say the one that's there now, and then bringing in the new community.
Anyone that can afford $2,000 a month rent is good for.
That's the going rate you think it's going to be? For
Absolutely. Those are going to be luxury apartments.
But you like do you look at this as economic development or just?
Oh, it's clearly economic development. And you know, I'm not for or against it. I like refurbished factories. I love where I am at right now. But in my perfect world, I would live in a refurbished, rehabbed warehouse.
Right.
And it would not be shared with anybody.
Right.
Something between 4,000 to 8,000 square feet. And it would be, garage, drive-in, stairs, to a recreational section, moving up into living section, and then office and production section. Yeah, somewhere between 4,000 to 10,000 square feet. That would be my ideal living space.
But I mean, for the community, like you say, the community that exists, I mean, the transformation of the old Fuller Brush factory that closed, I believe, in 1968, towards the community renewal
Old unemployment office.
Well, even before it got to be that, it was the community renewal. After the Fuller Brush factory closed down, because I know that area backwards, and I know people that worked at CRT. It went to become the CRT headquarters. I don't know if you remember that. It might have.
That was before my time. I'm familiar with all of the stories all the way back to Fuller Brush in the Fuller Brush days when he would go door to door. I know the whole story of the Fuller Brush building.
But not Fuller Brush. I'm talking about when it was CRT headquarters.
Right. I'm going back to the Genesis, bringing it up through CRT. But I wasn't here when it was CRT.
I thought it had to be because you was here in 79. I
79.
remember.
Well,
they didn't
now-
move there to 1991, I believe, or 90s.
Right. I was indifferent to it in terms of what was going on there. I may have been in town.
In town, yeah.
But it didn't.
didn't.
It's like
You was not
it's
interacting.
like,
you didn't go there.
Right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm aware of all of the iterations of what was in the building and on the property, but the just like the zoo, Sherwood,
Yeah.
Forest. So,
But I mean, is this gonna revitalize? This gonna have an impact on the Northeast? I mean, you say you're kind of not for it, or you're not against it. You're saying you're kind of like neutral.
it's just another thing that's going on in the city, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, for me personally, if you're asking me personally, now, yeah, it's economic development for the city of Hartford. The city of Hartford is going to thrive. It's going to thrive. The question isn't will Hartford thrive. The question is will Hartford's people thrive.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the surrounding areas, like the streets off of North Main Street, Tower Avenue, Ashford Street. Do you think? Because see, when it was the Fuller Brush factory, it was an employment center. People worked there.
Right. No one's going to be working.
No one's going to be working there. So it's not going to really have a big direct impact on that whole area.
It'll have a huge impact.
Oh, what?
Because it'll. If you're going to redevelop Hartford, the areas that are stricken with poverty have to go.
You got to go.
Yeah. Move people in there got some money.
Okay.
Oh, that's, you have there's different, they refer to as tridents in the city. And so, like Five Corners on Westland. You reestablish that as a stable pinpoint. There's several of them around the city. You reestablish those and you build out. You go out like a pebble in a pond, and the ripples go outward. There's housing stock over there that is just phenomenal. Housing stock down Vine Street, down Westland, Enfield Street, okay, Barber Street, all those houses over there off of Tower Avenue. Great housing stock. For anyone coming here from out of Hartford, particularly if you're coming from the New York area, you could buy 2-3 houses for the price of what you would down there. And while those prices may seem high to the people here, for the folks coming in, it's a steal. You're right on the highway, the train line.
Right.
And so you can go right off the highway, boom. If you work where you need to do planes or flying, you can jump on the highway, go right up to Bradley, take a bus downtown, get on the train. At one point, the talk about having high-speed rail come from New Haven going up to Providence was a big talk, but right now it looks like that may not happen. But they still want to do bury the highway. So they're gonna move forward on making metropolitan Hartford a very different place than it is. And you stabilize downtown, and then you start moving into the communities. So there will be a more focus on communities, but it's not a focus on communities like some people may think. So when you talk about these things, they mean different things to different groups of people. So you're talking about the people who live in the neighborhoods. They say we want some focus on the neighborhood. We want focus on the neighborhood. We want focus on the neighborhood. Then when you start paying attention to the neighborhood, they think that focus is about them when it's not. All right. So if you don't contribute to the tax base in Hartford, you should be concerned. All right. So you either going to be moved out or you're going to find a way to contribute. My thing is we need to find a way to make Hartford's people that are in poverty, bring them out of poverty, empower them economically so that they can be viable contributors to their own community. Because right now they're going to be moved out.
Now, when you say move out,
Out.
Yeah, but
Vernon, Rocket, somewhere, but you're not going to live in Hartford.
so hold on now. Let me get this clarified. If I live on Tower Avenue and this Fuller Brush factory gets developed, how does that push me out? I'm currently renting on Tower Avenue.
There it is. You're renting. Now, if you own a house on Tower Avenue and you have the wisdom not to sell it, this is great because it's going to help revitalize and stabilize the community.
Right.
It starts there. The pitch to sell it, to make it palatable to everybody is different. Remember when there was no learning corridor?
Yes.
What was there? The bus terminal.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember that. Yeah.
So they moved all those people out. They put the learning corridor in, and Trinity kind of expanded, and the hospitals expanded. They're moving the cities. The poor in the city are being relocated. It's neither good nor bad. It just is.
But this is not like, let's say, Village by Park River, where the old Westbrook Village is located. It's not moving. Is it kind of like that, moving those?
Yeah. Where are the people who used to live over there? They're gone.
Yeah. It was indicated that some of the people would get first preference.
For the ebonically challenged, they've been moved and relocated.
Okay, right.
Or they gone.
Yeah, but there was some preference for people that lived there. I don't know how much in numbers that actually amounted to that they would get the first choice. But certainly if you can't afford a certain amount, I don't care if you are on the first choice list, you still got to meet the financial requirements.
Which may knock you out of being able to move back. But we did give you first choice.
Yeah. Well, now I spoke to the leasing agent. I was told that people from throughout Connecticut, New York, actually have mostly it's people from Bloomfield and Windsor and some other parts of Hartford that have moved to the Village by Park River.
Or those people have the financial wherewithal to be there.
Right.
So gentrification has less to do with race. Many make it into that. It has more to do with money.
Right.
You're going to bring in individuals who can contribute to the tax base and contribute financially to the stability and the well-being of the community.
And again, you're neutral now, so you're not against it, and you're not so knocking on the door promoting it. You're kind of staying neutral towards all of this.
As you ask me what I feel, I mean, as a person, yeah. I mean,
Now, if you was, let's say, mayor or speaking as the president of the African American Alliance for the betterment of the community, does that change how you look at this now?
Well, you know, as the president of the African American Alliance, while I have my own opinion, when I speak as the president of the alliance, I'm speaking on behalf of the membership. So, you know, I don't just pop off with an idea or a notion. When I'm speaking as the president, that's because the membership has decided to make a statement about a particular thing. So there's been no statement made about that from the alliance.
Right.
But now, if I was a candidate, my view would be a little bit different because I'm concerned about the welfare of the people who call Hartford home and are more indigenous to the city.
Right, right.
But my point of view on that was soundly rejected.
Yes, yes.
So I'm good.
But again, for people that live in these areas, because I'm trying to separate the difference between the Vita Root Factory development plans and Village by Park Rivers. It's kind of different. All
Very
three of
different. Because Vita Root is a place where people can establish a business, or offices can be in there. They're not residential.
This is clearly residential.
This is residential. People are going to move there. They're going to live there. And the people that live there will not own it. They will be renters. And they will pay a hefty fee. So there can be individuals who are, you know, pretty well to do. You know how much you make if you make into if your rent is $2,000, and the general rule is that your rent can be up to 1/2 of your salary net. All right. I like to work with the net as opposed to the gross, but you know.
Yeah.
So that's $2,000. So you're making $1,000 a week.
All right.
That's $4,000. That's $52,000 a year.
So this is establishing the middle class, but it's not developing a middle class in the city of Hartford or parts of the city, because you're bringing in people.
You're growing a middle class.
You're growing a middle class.
One could suggest, yes, that isn't now here.
Right.
So if people are coming, as you suggested, if people are moving here, or like say Westbrook Village, what's it called now?
I think it's Village by Park, something about Park Village at Park River Village. I got to get this name correct.
So that's the
Village
one
by
branch
Park.
of the Park River that runs
right.
the back street there. So if those people are coming here from Windsor and Bloomfield, those are middle class folk who can afford to live anywhere, and they're choosing Hartford.
Right.
This is great news if you are a developer in Hartford trying to reestablish a middle class that's vibrant in Hartford, because then they contribute to the tax base.
But what you think would be a better solution is to develop the people that's already in the city, where they could become middle class incomes, and then let them have the option.
Develop the people.
Right.
Because economic development, depending upon depending upon the lens in which you look at economic development, it's not always and only, buildings and things like that. People contribute to the economy if they have money. So how you either have to bring them in, or you have to strengthen the people that are here.
Right.
Well, if there's people here that aren't contributing, you can increase their productivity exponentially. So if half the people that aren't contributing start contributing, you've increased the contribution dramatically.
Yeah.
So the question is, do you care enough about people to help people become better? And the answer to the question is clearly no. So you're going to push those people out and bring a better group of people in.
Well, see, again, this is where you get back to Vita Root Factory. That was designed to bring in businesses, and people say most businesses and small businesses hire people that already live in the community. So had Vita Root developed towards and beyond nonprofits, and I guess it's the majority in that building is nonprofits more than legitimate private-owned businesses.
Well, nonprofits are legitimate businesses, but I understand.
You understand what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying. But to your point about they hire people to live in the community, that may be what the data shows, but that doesn't mean that the people that are living in the community now will be the individuals that they hire. So if they hire someone, that individual might wind up moving into the community, and therefore they would then be someone that lives in the community.
Right.
People play these games with numbers because they're trying to push a narrative and an agenda that suits them, but they got to appease you with the dog and pony show.
Right. So you got to be aware of all of those factors.
Right.
But at the same time, though, if you do have Vita Root, let's say employing and there's nowhere near 500 people, but if it was employing 500 people at solid wage incomes, and they decide to hire the people that basically live in the city or close proximity,
they can only hire the people that live close to them or live in this. They can only hire the people, irrespective of where they live, if they can do the work.
Right.
You don't hire them because they live there.
Right.
You hire them because they're qualified.
You're right.
The work.
That's true. And whether you provide training or you have to be already trained, I mean, that's part of the plan as well, because you want to have people properly trained to do the jobs. I think we missed the boat. I think that was a big, it's not a total failure of Vita Root, but it was a big setback.
It's only a setback in that they were unable to attract a company to come into the facility that would be able to do what it is you're talking about doing. I mean, you can only provide the tools. That doesn't mean everyone's going to go to Home Depot and build a house from what's in it. Some will go there and buy glue.
Right.
The missed opportunity. No, until you connect the people who have the vision with the opportunities, your desire for it to happen, while admirable, doesn't make it happen. So where are the people who are willing to invest and make it happen? Well, are the schools good enough to bring your company here? Is the crime low enough to bring your company here? Because if you can't attract workers, you're in big trouble. Electric Boat, General Dynamics, is hiring people.
I saw you put that article
right
online.
Now they ran an ad on a football game.
Yeah, you mentioned the Eagles-Cowboys game.
No experience necessary. Now you're working at General Dynamics on the most complicated, most sophisticated technological machine on the planet, a submarine,
right,
with millions of moving parts. The engineering is off the chart, and you don't need any experience. So that means they're going to train you. They need workers. So they will do the training. You can train anybody to do anything if you want to take the time, but you only train people when you can't find people.
Right.
But General Dynamics is a multi-billion-dollar operation. They have the resources, the time, the money, because they need to build these, underwater ballistic missile delivery systems. And so they will invest the money.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of jobs. And those are kinds of jobs you can retire from, because these are long-term projects. And once they invest in you, they're going to keep, they want to keep you. They're not investing in you to train you to have you go somewhere else. Yeah. And so a lot of those people will wind up living in Groton, in the New London area. Then they'll be attracting people from all over the region and beyond the region, the country. Because they need to build these systems, and they need skilled labor. And if they don't have the skilled labor, then they'll train them.
So again, I mean, this is economic development when you look at what's being shaped and planned for the Fuller Brothers. I know we're talking about Electric Boat. You just mentioned how they're going to train people. That's totally different, because that's a company, that's a business. So Fuller Brush Factory is just going to be a building.
It's going to be an apartment building.
Apartment building. That's what it's all
like Coltville. What they package it in, what they sell it as, it's just a narrative. It's a sales pitch.
Right.
It's like buying an iPhone. The new titanium iPhone 55. Don't you want one today?
Yeah.
It's bulletproof. It could save your life if someone shoots you in the heart and the phone is there. Buy the phone that will save your life. I mean, how they pitch it is, it's an apartment building.
It's an apartment building.
Period.
Right. But it's bringing in a middle class population base that's non-existent.
Middle class people will wind up living there because of the rent. It's not bringing in anybody. People are choosing to move there.
but it's market rate though instead of affordable rate, and that's why the housing expert, and this thing has just been dragging on for months and months. I mean, I thought this.
I think all of that is semantics. Market rate, affordable rate. Can you afford to live there? Bottom line. What's the rent?
Yeah.
What's the rent? The rent is based upon how much money the guy who owns the property wants to make.
Well, keep in mind when you say market rate, it is a big difference because market rate and affordable rate can be up to $1,000 difference. So it is a huge difference.
It's only a difference to the person who can't afford to live there. To the people who can afford to live there, it's not an issue.
Right.
They're not. Everyone in the city ain't gonna live there.
Right. Well, now when you have affordable rate, sometimes it has income restricted guidelines. So now you can't make above a certain amount of income. Where
Right.
market rate, you can make as much money as
They're gonna
you
give
want.
all 5 of those apartments to somebody.
Okay.
It's not a low income facility for folk that ain't got no money.
Right.
This place is for people who have money.
Right. But again, I think the big picture that I would like to see is how it's going to reshape the whole community. And you think it's going to be a good thing because the property values are going to increase. I don't know what it's going to do with reckless driving and speeding and some other issues, but I think you could obviously look at that as
The reckless driving and the speeding will be taken care of when they decide they've had enough. It's not difficult to take care of.
okay. Because I mean, I didn't want to bring this up, but that basketball coach from Prince Tech he was killed on Main Street, basically walking across the street. I don't know exactly where he was going. And I'm trying to connect how does this prevent things like that. And there's probably other things going on in that area that people are not even aware of.
There's some accidents that are just tragic accidents. Former Representative Angel Arcee's father was killed on Park Street.
Right, that's true.
By a reckless driver. The woman ran into the back of a tow truck the other day, and she died. The kid was seemingly untouched. Another person, the child died. I mean,
well, it's not a reflection of the whole community, and I think that's a better way to.
It's absolutely not a reflection of the community. It's unfortunate that incident happened, and that it happened there.
Right.
But the community is not defined by accidents that happen.
But see, some people from the outside, they can look at it differently. They'll say it is the reflection of. See, that's the thing about perception.
But I would agree with you. But that's their perception. And if you want to set your paradigm on the perception of someone who does not live in the community or what they think, they have no intention of ever coming to the community, then fine.
Well,
but they're welcome to their opinion, but that doesn't set the course of things.
Well, you don't know that because somebody might. I could be talking to someone that lives in Windsor and saying this is an area that you might want to look into moving to, and then they hear about an incident like that,
and they decide not to.
Decide not to move. So the perception. So
Fine.
It doesn't matter.
I'm like Elon. Let them live somewhere else.
Okay, so you don't.
Why? If you don't want to live in our city, don't come here.
Right.
There's plenty of people who want to come to Hartford.
You know what you said,
and they aren't coming.
But you know what, though, Janice Flemings and Gary Bryant had an interesting conversation just about what you just expressed now, and she was promoting the city, how it's being changed. And Gary Bryant kept trying to find reasons why you don't need to come into Hartford. It sounds like a similar. I may be sounding like Gary Bryant to some degree.
I sound like Janice.
Janice, yeah, because he was saying, well, why you have to come into Hartford for this? If you want the divert. She was saying about Hartford as an international city.
It is.
But then Gary come back and saying, well, you can get some of that in West Hartford. You don't have to really come. See, he is finding a reason.
No, you cannot. I like Gary.
Yeah.
But Gary doesn't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
Hartford has 76 different ethnic groups living in it.
Right.
Languages that are spoken, pockets of neighborhoods where these people actually live, where there's social clubs. West Hartford does not have that.
Right.
The closest thing that West Hartford has to it is Hartford.
Okay.
So Hartford is a dynamic city. And it can be a very prosperous city. And it's going to prosper. The question has never been, will Hartford prosper? The question is, for Stan, will the people who call Hartford their home, the native individuals from Hartford, will they benefit from that prosperity?
Right.
That's the dividing line. Other than that, I'm not that far off from a lot of the things that people want to do. I just think you should be more intentional on including folks. So if people don't want to come to Hartford, then don't come here.
So again, your perspective, you're kind of neutral on many, like the Vita Roof. Well, not the Vita Roof, what the Fuller Brush Factory and other development projects. You're kind of neutral. You're not against it, but it may not be the exact way you would want to develop it because you don't think the
No. I'm not a developer. There are people who want to do development. I wouldn't stand in their way.
Okay.
That's not my vision. That's not my passion. That's not the things that move me. I'm a free speech advocate.
Okay.
That's what moves me.
No, but you were saying about you like to see human capital being developed in the process and then let them be in a position to benefit
from all the development that's
right.
happening.
And
right.
that's
I'm not in the way of development. I'm not saying these things are bad. I'm indifferent. I'm not their champion and I'm not their detractor.
Right.
That's someone else's job. Let Janice do that.
Right.
Janice is good at that stuff. So let Janice do that.
Okay.
All right.
So you're kind of neutral, as you said.
I'm neutral.
Right.
I'm neutral.
All right. Well, let's see how things work out. I guess that's the best way. Let's see how when it's finished, how things.
Now, if they want to put that place over the top, they call me up and let me do the video.
Yeah. That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be. It's nice to see sentimental reasons your old community, because she was really emotional. She broke down in tears at the press conference about the project.
Well, she has an emotional attachment. She grew up here.
Yeah.
She remembers when it was something different, and now she sees an opportunity for it to be a better place.
Right.
And that's cool.
Hopefully, at some point, maybe the Greater Hartford African American Alliance can be part of this. Maybe that's something that
if there's construction, then I'm sure there'll be some desire among some of our members to be involved in the construction. But other than that, it's just another thing going on in the city. It's not. It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard it was kind of the biggest project in the North End or something for the past 25 years. I don't know where that came from, but that's what I heard.
It probably is, depending upon the amount of money that's going to be spent. I'd like to see, other, well, I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
If you get that in there, then maybe the supermarket won't be too far behind.
That's good. You really want to see it develop beyond.
It will develop. The community will develop.
Okay.
And when you get more money coming into the community, things like supermarkets are easier to support because supermarkets are supported by people who spend money in them.
Yes.
Right. We don't open up a new supermarket and take the people who are going to the one that I have in West Hartford away by bringing them here.
Right.
Some things that people want to do are great.
Yeah.
But they make no economic sense. So you have to change the dynamic to make those things happen.
Yeah, I would love to.
But these are for brighter minds than mine.
Right. Well, you are the president of the Greater
As
Hartford
you keep
African. Yeah, you didn't know me. When I get on something, I stay on something. But it was a nice conversation we had about leather coats into Fuller Brush Factory. That was a good transition.
From leather coats to Fuller Brush. Jonathan Small is here every Tuesday, and so is Cleo Duke-Wright. She's here from 9 to about 10. Jonathan joins us for the last half of the program, and we just kick it. We just talk about whatever comes to mind. So tune in, and if you want to contribute to the conversation, you can always drop your comments in the chat section. For those of you who like to watch what we do here, coming up at 11 o'clock, Jonathan will be joined by his special guest. Keep it locked, as they say. Y'all have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you real soon. All right? Have a great rest of your week.
Likewise.